to another episode of The Conversation. I am AD. Thank you for joining us. Ladies, this show is for you. I promise you will enjoy it. We have a panel of gentlemen who are willing to join us today and share their hearts about this subject we're going to tackle. Today's topic, we'll be discussing understanding the male ego. Let's dive right in this, all right? You guys ready? P4CN put up a Facebook post, and it got a lot of commentary. One of the comments on that post is what drew so much attention, and I'm going to read that comment. It actually came from someone on our panel. My man Jamie right here. This is what it says. This is what Jamie said on our Facebook post. When it comes to relationships, one thing I wish women better understood about men is how our pride and our ego affects the relationship. I think many women see the pride and ego, but don't always take the best approach in handling it to lay aside our pride and ego. At times, we need a little coaching and encouragement to overcome the insecurities often masked by pride and ego. Who would agree with that? We know you agree with it. You said it.
That's deep. No, seriously.
Would you agree with that statement?
For
that
sure.
we need some coaching to overcome our pride and ego?
For sure. The right type of coaching, though.
Right type of coaching.
It can't come from a standpoint of I'm trying to, talk about you in a way like you shouldn't be like this because you don't know what I've been through, So you should be sensitive to that in a sense.
Yeah. Jamie, you said you're the one who made the statement that we need coaching on how to do it, to how to overcome our pride and ego. What are you looking for in regards to coaching?
I think in terms of the coaching is like a lot of it just is an understanding that, okay, right now he is struggling with pride. He has this ego thing going on. Just understanding that's taking place and the patience to work with me through it. And so, as a Christian man, I think we ought to, as Christian men who reflect on our lives and things like that, we ought to be able to see when we're being prideful. Yeah. We ought to be able to kind of like, that is pride. And we ought to want to fix it, like work on it, kind of overcome it type thing. But we also need a partner that's willing to kind of work with us through that process, have patience with us through that process, and give us some type of encouragement.
Yeah. Let me tap into a practical scenario and see if it touches on pride and ego or if it taps on your insecurities. Say you're in a dating relationship, young lady, very social, beautiful young lady. That's one of the things that you're attracted to. However, she has a lot of guy friends, tons of them. Okay, a lot of guy friends. And okay, he got an ant already. But I'm gonna find out what that ant was about. But she has a ton of guy friends. Okay, and from being around some of those guy friends, they checking for her. They playing the friend role, but they checking for her. Now, does that tap into your pride and ego, insecurities, or are you like, I'm cool, you can have as many friends as you want, I know you with me? Which one is more likely to play itself out?
I think in dealing with the situation in my conversation with her, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool. Like you have them, you can have those friends, whatnot, but inside is like, I struggle with the fact if she has too many people around, she might find herself in a situation where she makes a poor decision. And I'm insecure. I don't feel comfort in that type of thing.
So that, your feeling that she might make a poor decision is your insecurity.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not necessarily her issue, but it's kind of...
It is me.
It's you. Who would agree with that or disagree with that? Sure, well, hold on. You gave me the buzzer earlier. As soon as I said guy friends, you were like, shut it down. What was that about?
When I was a much younger man, I was dating an individual who, she had a lot of guy friends, and as a result, it just started to get in the way of our intimate relationship. And so, me personally, I couldn't do it. I don't personally think there's anything wrong with a woman to have guy friends. I do think there is something wrong when you have guy friends who know things that I'm not privy to or I don't know about.
What does that tap into for you? When you know or you find out that they have information about your girl that you just found out, what does that cause to happen inside you?
It makes me insecure.
Yeah.
It makes me insecure, but then again, then the question is, she's insecure about something because why is it that I'm left out and this person or these people know such information.
Yeah.
You know, in African culture, it's more like your only friend is Jesus and your husband. Other than that, it's just like, I mean, the first aspect in a relationship between a man and a woman, in regards to what it is you're asking is, we have to be friends. We have to be like brother and sister. Yeah. And that's what brother and sister do. They share, secrets. They share information, even if it is in the past.
Yeah.
I should be able to know everything, and I'm just not too comfortable with a whole lot of guys. I think if a woman does have a lot of guy friends around her, we would have to have been in a relationship for a while.
Yeah.
And I know them, and they know me.
Right.
Yeah.
I think some of that, what the reason for that insecurity is because we're men,
Right.
and we know manly motives at times. Right. We're pretty familiar with the motives because we're pretty shady ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we.
I said, real quick.
Are you gonna be honest?
No, that's real.
Let's be honest.
So we know that sometimes when a guy is just friendly, he's not just friendly.
Yeah.
And so we're like, I know the game, bro. I know where you're headed.
Yeah.
It's making me nervous because I think she might actually like you. What I want to do now is I want to try to help the ladies out a little bit in understanding kind of the genesis of this pride and ego thing and how they can more effectively help us in that area. And also maybe some brothers too to be more vulnerable in that area as well, so that the ladies actually can help us. Because if we're not willing to expose ourselves basically, or expose our hearts and say, hey, yeah, I'm weak here, then they're not going to be able to help us at all if we stay fronting.
Yeah.
So on the comment on Facebook, a young lady commented back to Jamie. And this is what she had to say. Her name is Livia Laurent. What's up, Livia?
What's up, man?
We definitely need a live conversation series about this. You're welcome. We're doing it. You're welcome. We always hear what women want from men all the time, but hardly hear what men want from us when it comes to understanding them better. The pride and ego thing, my goodness. I need a book. A book written by a professional who truly understands the working minds of men and women, because dealing with a guy's pride and ego and trying to stroke it and address it appropriately has been the hardest thing I've ever tried to do in my whole entire life. She said her whole entire life, like both of them, the whole life and the entire life. Like, it's exhausting. It's rough. You feel like you're fighting a demon. No exaggeration.
That's real.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's real.
You have pity on her?
Yeah, it's real though. It's a
Yeah.
real issue. I think it creates a lot of problems in our relationship.
Yeah.
And if we don't handle it appropriately, we're going to keep seeing like poor relationships one
Yeah.
after the other.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing that us as men, we're having a hard time dealing with it, overcoming it. And then we don't always have the right people in our corner that's going to help us get through it.
Yeah, yeah. How would you help Olivia? How would you help her out, Will? If she said this to you and said, man, it's just so hard. I want to.
Yeah.
But geez, it's
Right.
difficult. What would you encourage her?
Say sorry first.
I mean, just make it, first of all, understand why I'm this way. Allow me to tell you why I'm this way, and actually understand it. Don't come off with a sense of, well, you shouldn't let this make you who you are. But at the same time, this is why it did. So we're here now.
So you
now
want
work
empathy
with
first.
Yeah, work with me. You know what I
Empathize
mean?
with you first. Like, yeah, this is a real thing for you.
Right, because I had a situation where I brought my past up, and she said, well, I'll never understand it because I've never been through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in a sense, it's like, all right, do you want to understand?
Yeah.
You don't have to always go through something to understand it.
Yeah.
Understand that this is how it made me feel, so I hope that, you love me enough to say, hey, this is deep. I've never been through it, but at the same time, this is something that's sensitive to him.
Right.
What can I do to help you?
Yeah.
You need me to tell you that I don't care about these guys? Or you want me to check up on, like, what do you want me to do? Yeah, it might seem like I'm doing too much in my eyes, and to other people it might look like, you insecure, but I don't care about other people. I care about how you feel.
Right, yeah.
And I love you enough to do this. So
Yeah.
what can I do to help?
Hear me out.
Exactly.
You know, hear me out. Okay, I feel that. I feel like Charles, with the young lady you dated that had a whole bunch of guy friends. Okay, and you want her to be able to address how you're feeling about that. Because it's an ego thing, it's a pride thing. You don't want a whole bunch of dudes with your girl. But you want her to be able to hear you out on that issue. How would you get her to hear you out on that issue?
I would put the shoe on the other foot.
Okay.
I would say, well, I don't like to say how would you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, it's a tit for tat kind of thing. But take into account, imagine if I had, X amount of young ladies around me while we're in this committed relationship.
Yeah.
How would that make you feel?
Yeah.
How would you react? What would your attitude be like if I was on the phone late nights, with somebody platonically having, conversation about whatever, all hours of the night. Because that's what you do with your guys. Guys, we talk, we gossip, we talk sports, whatever the case may be, whatever it is we're talking about. If I'm having that same kind of relationship with a young lady, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
It will be a problem.
Yeah.
Because we're both emotional creatures. I think depending on who you're dealing with.
Put a pin in that one right there because
Okay.
I want to address that. We're both emotional creatures.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're men here. We can do this without the ladies here because we can say this. We can say, y'all can't say nothing.
Yeah, right.
Women tend to be more emotional, right? Would you disagree?
Nah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to address it. Believe me or not, I'm actually about to address the point
Okay.
you want to make.
Okay.
But women tend to lead with their emotions. Okay, I'll put it that way. They tend to lead with their emotions
that.
first.
Okay.
Okay.
Or display them.
Or display them, more so, more
the
openly.
sleeve.
On the sleeve.
Right. men have been identified as those who are not as emotional.
Right.
But we all know that's not true, right?
That's right.
So what I would tell this young lady is, my approach to her would be to tap into the emotion of it, to speak her language about it. She would understand what I'm saying if I took the emotional angle, how it makes me feel,
Right.
and express my feelings around the situation, because that's me being vulnerable, expressing my feelings, but it's also speaking the language that she speaks. She speaks emotion. She speaks emotion better. I'll say better, okay? And that she's more apt to hear me because she's understanding.
Wow.
From a perspective that she gets more readily. If I go the logic route, this doesn't even make sense. Why would you have these dudes around, okay, when you're with me?
Right.
She's gonna get defensive, block,
Right.
But if you express how your heart is feeling when all these other dudes are around, not the jealous thing and not the ego talk, how you got me looking out here and all that stuff. I really love you. I really care for you. And I know a lot of guys don't have the greatest of intentions. And it kind of hurts, that you're willing, that you would give more attention to this guy when I crave your attention. I really want you. I want, whatever,
Yeah.
And I don't use that as a template, okay?
No, right, but I feel where you're going.
Guys, that wasn't a template, okay? Don't do that. But the point is to express your heart. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Like, speaking that emotional language, letting them know how you feel about it. But there's something, we also need that accountability too. So in the midst of us having these emotions and sharing those emotions, I also want her to hold me accountable, identify pride as pride, identify insecurity as an insecurity. We're going to put that out there like, Jamie, you are being insecure right now, you're being prideful, but I understand that feeling, that emotion that you have. So these are the adjustments I'm going to make right now. Because this is how you feel, this is where you're at, I'm gonna make this adjustment, but know that we're gonna work through this.
Right.
Like, we're gonna get you past this point.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Will.
I just want to say, because that was, I had the same conversation with my mom, what in the world? With my mom. No, but I had the same conversation with my mom explaining why I act the way I do. And her response was, okay, it is up to her to actually understand you, but it comes to a certain point where you can't keep saying sorry for this is why I act like this. Because it's like, you're continuing to do it, so are you really sorry? I'm really trying to work with you, is what she's probably trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's probably what she meant, like, it's the hardest thing to deal with because they really try to work with it. But in our head, we like, hey, you ain't working with it enough,
Yeah.
And I think that's the other part is like the accountability part. Is like
Right.
we also need to be accountable to ourselves and understanding that we're dealing with sin, we're dealing with pride, we're dealing with this, and we have to make a commitment to overcoming those things. I think a lot of times what we do, we like, this is how I feel, this is what I'm insecure about. I'm always going to be insecure about this, so this is an adjustment that you're always going to have to make. We're never going to want to kind of grow up or overcome something. We're like, this is my past. My past will always be my past, so you always have to deal with it. Like, no, we're about to overcome this thing.
Yeah, and that definitely cannot be the model of this is me, deal with it.
Right, exactly.
Because I get it. They want to understand, but they also want to grow together.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're going to be married, you can't be married to the same person you were at year 1 to year 5. Okay. It can't be the same person.
This is true.
Because if it's the same person, that means somebody ain't growing. Okay, somebody didn't grow
If you ain't growing,
and
you're
change.
dying.
Right. If you're not growing, you're dying. Exactly. So we, like you said, Jamie, have to be accountable for our own pride and ego, recognize it as such, be able to confess it as such, which I think is the hardest part, especially if you're dealing with pride. Saying you have pride is hard when you're dealing with pride, right?
Right.
For me to tell my wife, yeah, babe, that was all pride there. All that yelling and stuff that was my ego. That's hard to confess when you're wrong. Pride doesn't want to say it, I was wrong. Yeah.
But see, the thing is, there's an author, her name is Carolyn Dweck, and she talks about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And the difference between the two is that the fixed mindset is a mindset that is failure oriented. The fixed mindset is going to say, I failed once, let me not go back. You have a great sense of reluctancy to go back to whatever it is that you failed at. But the growth mindset doesn't see weaknesses as failures. So pride doesn't have to be a failure. It's all about how you look at it.
Right.
It's all about perspective. So we work at this thing every day. And I like the fact that you use the G word, growth. If you're not growing, then you're dying. If a relationship is the same way it is in year 10 as it was in year 1, year 2, then I think both parties have to examine themselves. The thing that I struggle with, it's not just my struggle anymore. It's now my spouse's or my wife's. So we do it together. And we can grow in that.
And when it's both of you guys on the same plane, it makes it so much easier.
Yes, sir.
Because she understands where you're coming from. She understands what you're struggling with, and she can help you.
Yes, sir.
If you're open to the help.
Definitely.
And that pride sometimes makes you not open to the help. You know what I mean? It makes you like, no, I'm good. You tripping.
Right.
So I think hopefully we help Livia, understand that we deal with pride, and it's a struggle for us. It's not the easiest thing, you know. But for us and for the other brothers that are watching, hopefully that they understand that we have to be open and communicate. Willingness to be vulnerable about the ego, about the struggle. Because it's sin. Pride is sin. It's like the number one, like on the list of sins. I hate pride. That's what God says. I hate it. Because what it ultimately does is wants to lift us up higher than God.
It breeds arrogance.
Exactly.
Self-centeredness and all the other things that are kind of like conceited.
Exactly. Let me